His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki, Savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada Ki, Savior of Durban Srila Prabhupada Ki, Savior of Phoenix, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Latguri Vaishnava Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Prem Singh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shadkund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki, Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki, Shri Nitai Gaura Sundara Ki, Shri Radha Radhanath Ki, Shri Prabhupada Ki, Shri Prabhupada Ki, Shri Prabhupada Ki. All glories to their soul devotees. All glories to their soul devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Sit down and relax, devotees. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which you can attain pure devotional service, and obtain the mercy of Krishna. By only Krishna stand my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord birth after birth. From him ecstatic prem emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, please be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki. You're the MC.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So welcome to everybody to the last day of the 4-day festival, Rath Yatra, Festival of Chariots 2023. Hare It's been a wonderful festival from Friday with such a great turnout from all the devotees and residents of Vrindavan, of Durban and other provinces have come, and we were really enlivened to see that we had such a great response. So that augurs well for our next festival that's going to come up in 2024. It's also very enlivening to have the association of so many senior devotees, and we'd like to thank as well as offer gratitude, deep appreciation to His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Caitanya Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Govinda Swami Maharaj, His Holiness BRIHAT BHAGAVATA Swami Maharaj, and all all the senior devotees, we'd like to thank you very much, and all of you for coming and making this a very, very enlivening program. We want to thank at the outset, at the end sometimes there's nobody around to listen. So we'd like to thank all the devotees, the collaborative effort between Radharanath, Sri Sri Radharanath Temple and New Jagannath Puri Temple, the management, the devotees. There's so many devotees involved in putting this festival together, and all of them did it very, very quietly, with humility, dedication and love. And let us have your expression of gratitude for them also. Nitai Gaur! Nitai Gaur! Nitai Gaur! So I'd like to begin our program today. It's we'd say summing up, and as well as the inspiration for the devotees to continue with this mood for the rest of the year, for the rest of our lives. Thank you, sir. We'll ask His Holiness Ram Govinda Swami to address.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Yachurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Caitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameyam Swapulantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Caitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Palam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakamitam Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pacharya Deshatarini Jaya Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. Hare Krishna to all the wonderful devotees of the Lord. We are very fortunate to have the association Sanga for 3 days. Today's topic is the ultimate goal of human form of the life is Krishna consciousness. Bhagavatam speaks again and again. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Sri also taken that out. 11th canto, which is Brahmadhyam, transcendental knowledge, it is entire canto is Labdha sudullabamidam bahusam bhavante manushamarthalam anityamapi hadhira turnam yate tapate dhanutyayavat nisreshaya vishaya sarvatasya. Labdha sudullabam, human body, very rare topic. Not easy to get this human body. Even the demigods in the heavenly planet, they want to have this human body. Read 50 Canto 19th chapter 21st verse and 24 verse also. Read it, then demigods are cursing themselves. How fortunate this human being who has taken birth on this earth planet. Because earth planet is glorified even to the heaven. Why? Because only when we take birth on this earth planet, on the human body, one can have the opportunity to go back home to Godhead. No demigod can go to Vaikuntha, spiritual world, from the heavenly planet. Even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, they go, but Lord Rama also sometimes has to take birth. And that opportunity, facility is given to human beings on this earth planet. That's why they call karma bhumi. If you take shelter of Supreme Lord, one can get liberated from this repeated cycle of birth and death. Go and eternally stay with Lord in Vaikuntha, Goloka, Vrindavan to serve. As we engage in the pious activity, one can go to heavenly planet, enjoy, come back again, Chede, Punya, Vritulokam, Vishanti. If we engage ourselves in the impious activities, sinful activities, one can take birth among the animal kingdom or go to hell to serve. So destiny of the living entity, Jiva, is decided according to the activities we do in this human body. That's why demigod says they curse themselves. Nayatra Vaikuntha Katha Sudhapada Nasadavu Bharavattadatsraya Nayatra Yagneshu Kamaka Motsava Suresha Lokopina Vaisya Sevyadam. Demigods all Indra and all the demigods say that the place where is no Harikatha, which is like more superior than Amrit, the nectar. Nectar in front of the Harikatha, nectar is nothing. Sukadeva Goswami compared the nectar with a piece of glass. The chastised Indra said that, how can you compare your nectar to my Bhagavatam? The Bhagavatam is like a jewel and your nectar is just like a piece of broken glass. So that's why demigods say, Nayatra Vaikuntha Katha Sudhapa. Where the Harikatha opportunity, here Harikatha is not there, now where the devotees, Arama language, Abhagama means, when the devotees come, then only one can hear about the Lord. Where the Nam Sankirtan is not there, even that abode, place, maybe abode of Indra, Suresha Loka. In the heavenly planet, different planets have got different facilities. But Indra Loka, king of heaven, he got unlimited facilities. He got all facilities more than any other planet. That's why I say Suresha Loka, even if it is Indra, abode of Lord Indra, Naseviyatam should be rejected because everything is there, but no opportunity to perform devotional service. That's why it is rejected. So that opportunity is available only to the human being on this earth planet. Fortunate souls only get the human body. That's why Bhagavatam says that, Labdha Sudurlabha. Bhausam Bhavante Manusham Arthada. Manusham, human being, it is meaningful, human form of the body. As I said, because why it is meaningful? Only by engaging the devotional service to the Lord, one can get liberated. There is no other way. One has to engage in devotional service. Even if one engages in any service other than the devotional service, they will follow. Read the 10th canto, 2nd chapter, where all the demigods offering prayers to Lord Krishna in the womb of Mother Devaki. After the prayer, Lord Rama says, Aru Ekurchena Param Param Tata Padantyana Drishmana. I have seen my Lord, all those ignoring the bhakti, service to your lotus feet, those who have taken all other process, I have seen them all, even if they got liberated, Saitanya Kaivalya, they are seeing them all falling down. So bhakti is possible only for this human body. That's why I say, before the death can come, one should put all efforts for the perfection. What is the perfection? The nectar of instructions in the Prabhupada, again and again stress, perfection of human form of the life is going back to home. Engaging in devotional service, going back to Guru now. That is perfection of human service, human form of the life. Any other activity other than this are just waste of time. Some people may say, oh, we can enjoy what the life. Human form of the life is made to enjoy the life. Yes. In the same verse says, Bhavasam Bhavanta Vishayakara Sarvatasya. Bhavasam Bhavanta means not only enjoyment what sense enjoyment, not only this human body, but it is available in each and every space of life. In fact, other spaces of life, they produce more children than human beings. Hawks and cats and dogs, you can see, they can produce 10, 15, 20. So, sense enjoyment, sense gratification, not restricted to human form of the life, but everything. But Bhakti restricted only for the human form of the life. So, human form of the life is meant to engage itself in the service of the Lord, and which is called, we call Krishna Bhakti. Krishna consciousness means engaging himself, the thought, word and deed in the lotus feet of the Lord. Without performing the Bhakti, no one can get eternal liberty from this material existence or full of miserable condition, birth, death, only then disease. Lord Krishna also speaking in Kurukshetra says, Lord says that only by my bhakti, devotion unto my lotus feet, Amritatraya Kalpata, only one can get eternity. Means only when one engages in the lotus service in the lotus feet of the Lord and engage with love, the doing devotional service, then only one can get liberated from this cycle of birth and death. Other than not possible. So this woman form body, one should, even Lord Krishna also giving the final instruction to Uddhava says, the same repeated. Nudehamadyam sarabham sudurlabham labham sakalpam gurukarnadharam. Lord Krishna said that though this is Nudeham, the human body, Adyam, source of everything. If I want to take birth in the animal kingdom, I can take birth, as I said in the before. I want to enjoy in the heavenly planet or enjoy in the earth planet, yes, we can enjoy. If I want to get out of this material existence of repeated birth and death, yes, I can also get surrender into the lotus feet of the Lord, then engage in devotional service and a possibility of going back home to Godhead. That's why Lord said, Adyam, source of everything. What we want, we can achieve by this human body. Scripture says, the human body, it can achieve, like Vishwamitra, by performing austerities, he got so much power like a Brahma, he created parallel creation, which we call Trisham Sanga. So human body, human form of the life, it can achieve what you want, what is the goal of life, what you want to achieve or take, that is, you can get it. So Krishna said that, Ajam, Sulabham Sudurlabham. Very difficult to get, I also say very easy to get. If one engage in the pious activity and accumulated result of those all pious activity is that one gets association of the devotees, Vaishnava. Getting association of the devotees also not easy. In that one we may be having millions of people. Out of so million, how many are here? So getting association of Vaishnavas and getting into the Bhakti life also not easy for everyone. Only fortunate people will come. That's why it says, Sulabham Sudurlabham. And Lord says that Lavam Sukalpam, this human form of the body, perfectly made to work as a boat to go through the material ocean. Material world is compared to the ocean, Bhavasindhu, Samsara Saga. Samsarati Sanga. And we all know the bank, coastal area, and the bank of ocean we stand. Can we see other end of the ocean? We can't. In the same way, in the material world, when we came here, we don't know. When we are going to end of this cycle and birth, we don't know. That's why material world is compared to the Bhavasindhu, Bhavasaga. To get out of this material world, ocean you want to go through, you want to cross this ocean, you need a boat. If you try to swim, we become breakfast or something. But if we have the nice boat, we can swim on. Here also Lord says that the human form of the body, plow means boat, perfectly made to act as a boat. Who is going to drive this boat? Captain of the boat? Guru Karnataka. When you take shelter of the spiritual master in Parampara, he will take the charge of this human body boat. And when rowing through the ocean, if the favorable wind comes, it can move forward. Unfavorable wind comes, it can sink. Now that one has taken shelter of the spiritual master, and his guidance is engaged in the loving devotional service of Lord, Krishna says, Mayanukule nanavashataridam. Because of your taken shelter, you are determined to get out of this material existence. Lord says, my blessings will work as a favorable wind across this material ocean. Having got this very rare human body, Bhavan Kumardin Natharet Atma. Having got such a wonderful human body which can enable us to get out of this material existence, those who do not try, they are just like a self-killer Atma. What is the destiny of the self-killer? Ishopanishad, you can read it, Fifth Mantra. Self-killer, suicide, what we call it, they have to suffer many, many lifetimes. Not easy, we think, oh, suicide not. They have to suffer a lot in hellish planet, under the Amisma. So this human form of the body, rate of 10 intelligent people like you all, use this human form of the body in the service of the Lord. Yes, family, they maintain, but how to enjoy with Krishna, we have to know it. All acharyas, Bhajauri, Manasri, Nandana, Govindas, Viraj also gives one. This human form of the body can achieve everything. Ashrama, household life also ashrama, but we have to know how it is. As a lotus flower, always it is in the water, but you never find it wet as a flower or leaf. You have seen, never. Though it is staying in the water in the same way, never become wet. In the same way, the household and also it is ashrama, it is not that to know. Out of the 4 ashramas, whether you are brahmachari, grastha, sannyasi, vanaprastha, only we can say ashram if you have taken shelter of the Lord. Ashram is ashraya, the one who taken ashraya, shelter of the Lord, then we can say it is ashram. If you have not taken shelter of the Lord, Krishna, and not engaged in the devotional service, then he is a Brahmedi, he cannot be called grastha ashrama. And that life of a Brahmedi equivalent to any animalistic way of life. That is not the life of human being. I am not saying scripture says it. Because anything other than the bhakti, eating, sleeping, mating and fear, they are common for each and every living entity. But human form of the ashram is we are taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, engaging in the service of the Lord, which enables us to get out of this cycle of death. So the body, ultimate goal or aim of this human form of the life is engaging in Krishna consciousness or spiritual life. And the bhakti is the easiest and best process for liberation from the material existence. And moreover, engaging in Krishna consciousness as taught by a divine great Srila Prabhupada and Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the best among any other process. Caitanya Mahaprabhu took 2 principles from each and every parampara and made 8 principles of devotional service in Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya. And taking the principle given Siddhanta of Atintya Veda Veda Tattva. So it means when you are engaging in the devotional service in Krishna consciousness in his goal, it means you are engaging in devotional service in all the 4 sampradayas. In Divine Grace Bhakti Thakur in Navadip Mandal Parikrama, he writes how each principle he has taken from each sampradaya. Like we are stressing on the Vaishnava Seva Nishman, that is taken from the Sri Sampradaya. Offering daily opulent bhoga to the Lord is taken from Rudra Sampradaya. Shaking shelter of Krishna from Brahma Sampradaya. Taking shelter of Radharani from Kumar Sampradaya. So like that, in each Sampradaya we are taking principles and we are engaging with following all that principles means it is the most superior, glorious than any other paramparas. They all are glorious, but in Gaudiya Sampradaya, Krishna consciousness or ISKCON, this of course is far superior than any other. Because they are taking the principles, we are following teachings of all other acharyas and we are implementing them. So this human form life, wonderfully engaged and one can engage service of the Lord to achieve the goal of the life. The one thing though, what is there? Prahlad Maharaj very nicely says in Bhagavatam, 7th kind of 6th chapter, where instructing the friends, which is teaching of Prahlad Maharaj. Even if human being got 100 years of their lifespan, 50 years we spend in sleeping one, isn't it? 12 hours a day, 12 hours a night. So 50 years gone sleeping. From the time of birth up to the age of 12, we engage time in playing, reading, whatever. How much left? 20 years childhood gone. So how many years left? How much? Not any. 50 minus 20? 30 years left. And after 80 years, even if you want to engage yourself in the devotional service, your body won't cooperate with you. So many problems will come. So another 80 to 100, another 20 years gone. So how much is left with you? Only 10 years. Even if you engage this little time, 10%, still that we can go back home. We can be liberated from this emotions. And that by, that's why it's love. And the Bhagavatam also says that only by engaging and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. This is the easiest method. In the last canto of the Bhagavatam, Sudha Goswami Raj, Kalim Sobhajan Taja Vinajjasa Bhagina, Nama Sankirtani Vasar Sarvasartho Labhyate. Only by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, one can achieve what you want it. One wants to enjoy this heavenly planet, yes, it will go. One wants to go back home to God in Goloka Vrindavan, yes, one can go. One wants eternal remaining in the material world. What we want to get it. Liberation from the material existence is easy by chanting the holy name of God. Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna. Jagat Krishna Prabhupada ki jai.
Swami Maharaj ki, Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna, everyone. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnanatamrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And in fact, I was born in the darkness of ignorance and also in the cold of Canada. I've been coming here to the South Africa this is my 21st time coming. And some years back, maybe about 35 years ago, I was having a chat with some of our God brothers and God sisters from Canada who had spent some time here. I believe it was in Cape Town. The likes of Padyavali Devidasi, Kala Das, Rochan Prabhu, and let's see, Yashamati, Kala's wife. Mars, do you remember that?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Okay. Was it a good experience? Okay.
Wow.
Padyavali, yes. So I was curious about Africa. I'd never been to Africa before, to speak of South Africa, and I asked Padyavali in particular. She's passed away now, about 5 years ago. She left her body. We used to go and visit her at the seniors' home. It was very difficult to see her each time I see her. Her health would deteriorate. But anyways, I asked her, said, what are people like in South Africa? I said, oh, they have honey-coated hearts. And so I got a good impression. I had a good impression of what people were like here in South Africa. And so when I come here, I see it's absolutely true. There's lots of honey and lots of sugar cane. So the topic is the ultimate goal. And Ram Govinda Maharaj identified that the ultimate goal is Bhakti. So I just wanted to share with you a poem I wrote about Bhakti. It's called that, About Bhakti. Contrary to popular belief, strength lies in humility, whereas weakness does in pride. Our base, set in simplicity, puts complexities to the side. Pleasures ignite from stimulus, but that is so short-lived. Long-term comes from vigilance, when cheap thrills are outlived. Entertainment may lift us up, but education takes us higher. Spectators don't always see close up, as through wisdom we are inspired. We define ourselves in bodily terms, if the body is just a shell. Our observing this shell confirms that it's within that we do dwell. Happiness happens in receiving, and that is certainly true. However, the item that is most pleasing is when one gives to him and you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. And as it's stated in the Bhagavad Gita, our very cherished text, our holy book. I guess I can speak on holy terms because it's Easter weekend, right? Vakyam mam avijanati yavash jashvitatvadaha. The way to get to the ultimate goal is to loving God, through loving exchanges. And I would say that to get to the ultimate goal requires us to look at the immediate goal. Maybe it's not such a good idea to be too futuristic and look too far into the future. Maybe it's a very good idea to look at the present. So I may have presented this little story to you before. The first time I walked across Canada, I was nearing the end. I started from the west coast, which is Vancouver Island, and ended up in Newfoundland. close to where the big ship sank, Titanic. And this is in the city of Halifax. And on one fine morning day, this is early December, a member of the CBC came, that's Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And when they come to do an interview, it's like a great win. Oh wow, great, I'm sure Prabhupada's pleased. Because they're the most respected broadcast corporation in the country. And so a young woman came to interview me. And she brought with her a tape recorder. Do you remember those ancient relics from the times of the past? And she asked all the standard questions, like what's your name, of course, that's basic. And then she asked also, when did you start the walk? And it was April the 12th. And now it's early December, so it's finishing up. And she asked, and why are you doing this walk? And I said, well, it's for the healing, spiritual healing of the nation. And I elaborated on that a little bit. And, basically it's to promote walking. Walking is good for you. Walking is good for the body, it's good for the soul, it's good for your mental outcome, everything. And she asked, well, how many pairs of shoes does it take to walk across Canada? And I said 4. And she asked a whole bunch of other questions, which were great. So then the interview was rolling out really smoothly. And then I asked, she had then put a question to me. So now that you're almost finished the walk, Swami, what was the greatest thing that you had experienced on this walk? And so at that point, I kind of went stage fright. I didn't know what to say. I just went blank. And I didn't know what happened. And I was thinking, well, should I talk to her about how when I was stopped by a grizzly bear, or when I was attacked on my behind, I was actually dealing with the call of nature, and 7 wasps came and had a bite. And this is true, it's slightly embarrassing. And I also, when I was in Saskatchewan, I was attacked by these blackbirds. I was too close to their nesting area. I was thinking, well, what can I say? Nothing seemed to, I couldn't wrap my head around the main point of what I wanted to say. And so time was ticking away, and I would say it wasn't long, but it seems long when you're on pause. And then I think, the greatest thing that happened on this walk is, you're standing there in front of me, and you're asking me this question, and I'm trying to figure it out. That's the greatest thing that happened on this walk. And she said, I know what you mean. It's living for the moment, being in the present. I said, yeah, exactly, that's it. So when it comes to going on long walks, you go through different phases of past, present, future. And I've analyzed it like this. I don't know if you've ever tried this, but in the course of the day, and it's probably easy to do this when you're just walking, doing something simple, maybe 33.333% is spending time in the past. Maybe another 33.333, etc., etc., etc. You're thinking about future projects. You're thinking, and perhaps the balance, which is about the same amount, you spend at the present moment. Oh, the sky is great. Oh, look at those geese. There are a version of the, what do you call them, the la-di-da birds that you have here, the hahidas, or whatever they call them, yeah. And, so you live in the present, and a lot of quality time has to be there. Like everybody knows how important it is when you're chanting your japa. You have to kind of be there with it. The mind is racing, and it's very hard to tame it. So you try very much to be in the present. Dwelling with the past is oftentimes a little bit, can be very tamasic. Thinking a lot, contemplating on the future can be a little bit rajasic. And you just want to say, hold your horses, take step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then maybe you'll get there. But being in the present, taking time for the quality, Bhakti, output, at the present moment, like Prabhupada used to say, pay attention to details. That sattva gun is what is really required, to get to the ultimate goal. So the ultimate goal to get there is to live with the goal now. Whatever we're doing now, we do it with quality, with as much expertise as possible, with as much mercy as possible. Whatever bhakti we could conjure up, it's so important to be here and to be now. Okay. So when I joined the movement, there was a popular book out, Be Here Now. Do you remember that, Arash? Did you read it?
No.
I didn't read it. I didn't read
I did read the book. Steal this book.
Steal this book. Okay, it's along the same lines. Okay, so I can only imagine what the contents are of Be Here Now, but it means be very much in the present, which in many ways can be translated as be in sadguna, act in a sattvic way, conscientious, to be very, conscious and conscientious. Those two words are almost like synonyms, Be aware of what you're doing. Right? So I would say this community here in Durban, I don't want to speak competitively. I'm just kind of putting you all together like the whole gamut. You're all very wonderful. You're very nice. You pay attention to a lot of details, especially when it comes to the prasadam. Oh my God. So nice. The only area that I have 2 pet peeves about here. The shoes are never lined up nicely. When you park your car, you put it in a space which is, let's say, makes sense, and where you're courteous to make room for all the other motorists that are coming by, right? And the other one was, my other pet peeve, which I expressed the other day, was the, how did Swami Damodar explain it? Ecstatic chaos. The kirtan in the beginning, which was everyone was in a happy mood, but it needs to be organized. So we need just simply take care of those kind of details, living very much in the present, and trying to very hard to see that Krishna is present at every moment. It's not about me, and it's not about what I am doing. I'm not the doer. I only have a will. I have a choice to go right or left. I make those kind of decisions on a regular basis, and it could be hundreds and hundreds of decisions like that we make every day. And we try to do it conscientiously. What's good for Krishna? What's good for Prabhupada? Should be good for me, right? What's good for the community? What's good for everyone? I'm last. I'm in the queue. I'm last. Because I'm part of the whole. And this is where what Prabhupada asked us to do, and what he felt was going to make our movement successful, was to apply the philosophy of Achintya Veda Veda Tattva, which means unity in diversity. There's different ways to approach Krishna through bhakti. There isn't just one way. But Prabhupada had written, it was 50 years ago, this year, he wrote a famous letter that was addressed to all the leaders. And he said, I want all of my leaders to come every year to Mayapur to discuss how to implement, I'm just paraphrasing, unity and diversity. And I don't think we've done it. Work in progress, and certainly not in detail. We've touched on it here and there. So when you think about it, we are a wonderful community that we can be proud of. But we are sometimes in our little bubble. I feel that we are, let's say, not reaching out sufficiently to the public. We actually haven't figured out how to be relevant to the outside world. And maybe that's just a phase we're going through. I have to chant Hare Krishna and this and that. I have my sadhana, and this is the way we do things, and everything's with the right hand, and all these fine details. Fine, good, and I observe Ekadashi once every 2 weeks, and I break my fast the next morning after the fast, anywhere from 6:42 a.m. until 8:55 that next morning. And we get very, very meticulous about these things, which may not have much relevance to the outside world. And if someone new comes to our society to visit, and we put forward these fine details of meticulousness and, let's say, splitting hairs, it might turn some people off. Oh my God, it's so too many complexities. So maybe we need to look a little harder at how we are presenting Krishna consciousness to the world. We know that in South Africa, there's different groups of people, different diversities, and it's beautiful. And I'm based in Toronto, which is supposed to be the most multicultural city in the world, more than New York City. So that's why I like the place, I like the town. You get everybody there. You're in you walk a few blocks this way, oh, I'm in Spain. You walk a few blocks over there, oh, we're in Portugal. A few blocks, now we're in Poland. You walk, oh, now we're in the Caribbean. And I'm not sure where the South Africans hang out, to be honest with you. But it's very diverse and it's fun. And so we haven't yet figured out how to draw everybody in, Of course, there's a big draw from the vegan community and the yoga community. You can call them Vedic people. But when it comes to our diet, usually unless they're very immature, they'll get a little bit turned off by our dairy issues. But anyways, and of course, the low-hanging fruit, as the term that became popular by Swami, was, people from Southeast Asia. It's easy for them to come to Krishna. They love ISKCON. They love Hare Krishna. Of course, we made some mistakes in the past, but they love us. Anywhere where I'm walking in, say, the greater Toronto area, people say, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rath Center Island. Maharaj, you're going to be at the Center Island. So we're known for doing some things really well, and it's going to take a lot of hard work to figure out how to draw people of a different origin into Krishna consciousness. For that, we probably need different programs, different approaches, that's for sure. Like, say, for instance, our Archana Vigraha, our puja, our seva with deities. Muslims don't relate to it. Jews don't relate to it. Protestants don't. Catholics do. Buddhists, yeah, some do, some not. So then we're missing out a big chunk of society, right? But what we do have that we can put forth is, Prabhupada has given us kirtan, which is great. Prabhupada has given us wisdom, the Shastras, which is fantastic, and also prasadam. Those are the three areas of concentration that's going to win the hearts. And so to get to the ultimate goal of life, it's really more in the sharing than in the receiving. And those of us who have received, that is, those of us who have been around, those who have received Diksha once, twice, thrice, Swamiji's, or even the first Diksha, you're in a position where you can deliver. There's a lot to give. There's so much. And that's where the joy lies in. It's a fun religion. It is a joyously executed, as Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Susukam Karutam Avyayam, chapter 9. He says it's joyfully executed, like we're happy people. Happy, happy, happy people. Like people are smiling right now as I say that. Of course, before I said happy, there weren't any smiles. But we hope you can keep the smiles going. And that's a big attraction, that's a big draw, really. And that's always our big concern. How do we bring people in? How do we keep people there? That's the other thing. How do we, let's say, retain the attendance, the, let's say, the participation, and we do the best we can in that area. Many studies have been done about different faith groups, and usually in the first 2 to 3 years, new participants come in, they give a lot. After that, oftentimes it levels out, and they may not participate as much as when they first joined for different reasons. And of course, there's always those people who just dive in, swim deep, and they stay there. They're hardcore devotees. I'm sure you've noticed there's different levels of commitment in Krishna consciousness. But our big task, the beautiful thing, the ultimate goal of life is to share Krishna, give a piece of Krishna to the public, to society at large. And then you feel good. It's greater to be giving than to be on the receiving end. So we have received, now we deliver. And Prabhupada said that. Now I've made you fortunate, now you make others fortunate. So the ultimate goal is to share. And when you do that, you will make tremendous advancement. You will grow. You will grow and you will glow. And that's what we want. We want glowing people. We want everybody to be like South African devotees, honeycombed, right? So that's those were my thoughts on the subject. So to get to the ultimate goal, we have to look at the here and the now and be serious about our sadhana, which constitutes for most of us doing some chanting every day, reading some shastra, of course taking prasadam, that's never a chore. And perhaps the most important thing is to establish good relationships amongst the devotees. I can't think of anything more important than that. If you can you can get to Krishna without being nice to his devotees, you're dreaming. Dream, 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 dream. So in all, our success hinges on our, going deep in our relationship with the devotees. And of course, it's a given. It's not going to work out for everybody. The chemistry doesn't always work out between two people, but at least we can be kind. At least we can be courteous and show some kind of protocol, right? It's just like that. It's just like that in this world. That's not going to gel for everybody, even within a community. But at least we tried. And we keep making friends. We went through the exercise yesterday in the 9 Devotions workshop. And we were talking, I think a lot of people, it's pretty overwhelming, out of all the 9 devotions, is that making the friend is like usually everyone's favorite exercise that we go through. So that's important. We have a term for when you are, let's say, a person who puts out bhakti, but you don't demonstrate it amongst your peers very well. Like you might even have a disdain of these. I I love Krishna, I love God. We have a term for that, kanishta. It even sounds kind of heavy. Kanishta. So you can go there and you can move your way towards Uttama Adhikari. That's the opposite of tamas, which is ignorance. And that is to go towards Krishna. So we're just saying, my message is, the ultimate goal is to go to Krishna, yes, but on the condition that you are getting on with devotees. Hare Krishna. So I just want to reiterate that because the doors made lots of noise. So if we want to be successful spiritually, then it's got to happen here, it's got to happen now, it's got to be with the people that are around you, that are next to you. So you can look at the person next to you right now. Maharaj, I love you. Maharaj, I love you. And I love you too. I don't know about these other people here. No. My point is we have to like each other. Because we're very special, to be honest with you. Anybody who refrains from eating animal body parts, anybody who doesn't take intoxications, anybody who's getting along with her husband and wife, and what's the last one? No gambling, right? Anybody who does, who follows all these 4 regulations, or even one of them, wow, you're a saint. In Kali Yuga, wow, if you're just not eating animals, fish and all that kind of stuff, well, you're really evolved according to the standards of Kali Yuga. So, who we have here, we're precious. And the people outside are precious. And I will finish with this. In the early days, we were kind of fundamentalist in our attitudes. And there's nothing worse than dealing with a fundamentalist devotee. I'd rather sometimes sit with a gross karmi, if I can use that term, than a fundamentalist devotee. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can be, oh gee, give me a break. But our attitude was us and them. But the point is that, who is the us and them? We're all struggling with the 6 senses, which includes the mind. Even if you're chanting Hare Krishna, we all have desires, we all have contents, all these things. So in one sense, we're all in the same boat. We just want to make sure that that boat's not going to sink. And it will not sink if we just kind of cooperate and hold everything up. I go to Cuba every year, and there's devotees that I gave Diksha to. They came from Cuba, and they were trying to get to the US and cross the Gulf and get to the Keys in Florida. And some of those devotees went in a raft, and there would be like a pole in the middle, and they'd carry some water and practically nothing else. And storms would come up. Storms would come. They'd hold on to it for dear life, and the water's rushing this way and that way. They weren't sure if they were going to make it. And they're screaming and just holding on for dear life on that middle pole, And when it came calm, they also noticed that at the Gulf of Mexico that there were other people who had tried this and didn't make it, like empty rafts and boats, whatever you could put together. So, but with some kind of cooperation, balancing the physically, at least this one particular family, they made it across. And so that's just what we have to do in terms of, I'm just giving you an example of what it might look like. So we are in the ocean of material existence. The waves get high and we get tossed around. And we just have to really work at the spirit of cooperation, which Prabhupada equated to love, before he passed on. And then we will experience an incredible measure of success. So let us cooperate, and we will rate. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Maharaj. We now have His Holiness Bhakti, BRIHAT Bhagavat Swami address us, and thereafter His Holiness Bhakti Caitanya Swami.
Where's the voice coming from? It's like Pod speaking. Where's the voice? Oh, there we go.
I'm not sure what to say, because I'm sitting amongst my seniors here, so I'll probably pass it on to you. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, you can ask now. We have a microphone. If the questions are too difficult, I'll just pass it on to my seniors.
Maharaj, perhaps we could give a little input on the theme, which is the ultimate goal of our life, and then we could take some questions after that.
Well, everyone in the material world, including devotees, are looking for happiness, but the basic foundation is missing. And the basic foundation is peace. If there's no peace in the heart, no matter how much you try to be happy, it won't work. For anyone, including practicing miracles. So one disciple asked Srila Prabhupada how to achieve that peaceful condition. And Srila Prabhupada quoted the famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktaram Yagyatam Sarva Loke Maheshwaram Suridam Sarva Bhutanam Kyatvamam Shantim Richati, which indicates that if one has even a faint realization that from the results of all of our activities, the beneficiary must be Krishna or Krishna's representatives. And even if it's a faint realization, then the personification of peace will begin to enter into the core of the heart. Then Sarva Loke Maheshwaram, the next realization comes that whatever is sort of attributed to me, whether it's my position or influence or power or wealth or position in society or even whatever I possess as the gifts given to me, that I can excel in. All this actually belongs to Krishna. Krishna is Sarva Loke Maheshwara. Even the planets, everything else. So if that realization is not there, then one becomes the doer, and one cannot be a transparent Maya medium, because it stops by you. And then only one can have some realization that Krishna is Suridam, Sarvabhutanam. He is the principal well-wisher and the principal friend of me and everyone else in relationship to Krishna. That's when, in a 108% way, Gyattvamam Shantim Richati, that peace can enter the heart. Without the foundation, the basis of peace, you can never build upon materially what to speak of even spiritually. Peace has to be in the heart. And the commodity or the wealth of the personification of peace in the heart cannot be taken away from you externally by any means or by anyone. However, one has to take the responsibility of maintaining the personification of peace as the best friend in the heart, especially as Srila Prabhupada told us, and excuse me, I came a little late in because of my health. As His Holiness Bhakti Swami emphasized, that we should serve favorably according to how Krishna wants to be served and how Srila Prabhupada wants to be served. And he also touched on chanting one's japa. So if we can sort of make japa the priority number one list for the day, amongst doing other things that are also important for you. It would help it will help you to get the necessary strength and potency to maintain the best friend, the personification of peace in the heart. Based upon that foundation, you can do other services in a devotional way. And sometimes we may be overwhelmed with so many services. Like one member of the GBC who was my close friend, he said, sometimes I get overwhelmed with all these situations that I have to deal with and comment on. But I said, are you chanting your japa? He said, yes, but it's not attentive, because these other issues come into my consciousness. But I said, nevertheless, one should chant it. Because if one is engaged in service without chanting one's japa, one will still be in anxiety, stress, and depression. And at best, your service will be mechanical or routine, which we don't really want also, because we want it more than that. But the japa brings the devotional element into everything that we do. So therefore, service becomes devotional service with the foundation and basis of chanting one's japa. Otherwise, it's just service. That kind of service can become comparative, which is not so nice also. Comparative and competitive service, and I'm doing better than others, is not devotional service. It has a tinge of dislike or jealousy, or even deeper than that as envy. So one should be cautious for that. So therefore, we just don't want to engage externally in service. We want to add that element of devotion, which comes from as Srila Prabhupada said in a purport in Caitanya Charitamrita, he uses the words absolutely necessary and most essential is to chant minimum of 16 rounds of japa a day. Of course, there may be one's health situation, there may be some emergency, or there may be an early flight that one maybe is taking. Those are not regular days. So that Radha Krishna understands that. But on the regular normal day, one should try to chant one's japa in the morning. I'm actually reminding myself more than reminding you all that I should do that to be maintaining the foundation and basis of peace internally, upon which every other thing can be built upon with the proper consciousness to make it not just service, but devotional service. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Raj, may we defer the question
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Tule Shrimati Bhakti Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vastajadishnane Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vajkam Churiyuscha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Paritam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I think one thing we should do, I think we should all just put our hands in the air. Please put your hands in the air, thank you. All your hands. If you've got more than two, put in all four of them. Thank you. Very good. And take a deep breath. And say after me, very loud, but after me, but very loud. Hare Krishna! That wasn't too bad. Gotta keep your hands. Not too bad, could have been worse. But let's do it one more time, and this time actually do it loud. Hare Krishna! That's not the full mantra. Not the full packet of biscuits. All right, well, on the instruction of His Holiness, Bhakti Maharaj Ki Jai. Yes, again, put your hands in the air. And all of them. Yes. Come on. And after me. Hare Krishna. Rama, Rama! Hare, Hare! Is that all right? In situations like this, I always think of His Holiness Parthasarathi Maharaj in a tent. Yes. I wish he was here. Anyway, I was considering the different natures of these three devotees sitting next to me. To begin with, we had His Holiness GOVINDA Swami Maharaj, and of course, it's difficult when you're the first one, and there's a sort of a bit of a queue system, and you may not know what to do. But he was so shastric. It was amazing. So many verses. And I must admit, quite a number of them I don't know. So, that means he's really been studying. Well, to my knowledge, he's studying the BHAGAVATA every day. So I was impressed. I was deeply impressed and moved by the logicalness, if there is such a word, of his presentation and his shastricness. It was just the English language, adding words. But I truly, I was just so impressed. And I was feeling a little worried. You know, I'm going to have to speak it. If I don't speak so many verses, people are going to think I'm some sort of, you know, just populist. Just getting emotional and trying to move people. But yes, I was really impressed. And I was listening very carefully, sure. It was really nice. And I came out, you know what? I came out at the end. He was insisting on devotional service, devotional service, devotional service. He really was. And I was sitting here thinking, I'm going to have to do some devotional service. Yeah, sure. And then we had His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj. Sure, what can I say? Well, I mean, he said it all. It was amazing. And it was really beautiful, actually. Particularly, I sort of identified with, or, you know, I just vibed with Is that okay? With, you know, how we got to get on with each other. And I was remembering Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, not our Caitanya man, but from America, they're very old Prabhupada disciples, super intellectual. And he was sitting there in a class, and somehow he's looking around, sort of half there, half not there, and looking at the different devotees, and he saw one devotee who he didn't get on with. And he's looking at this devotee, and I'm not looking at him. If you'll just look up or down, I'll look down. And he was thinking, you know, who is this devotee, and what is this devotee? And then Srila Prabhupada was speaking, and Prabhupada then said, we are all going to be together forever. We will have another ISKCON in the spiritual world. And Ravindra Swarup Prabhu thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to create a relationship with this devotee. And he said he did. Because, you know, one of the problems we have is sometimes devotees get a little political with each other, or just, I don't know, they just don't appreciate each other enough. And when people come in from the outside, who are not devotees, but who could become, I mean, that means they have some potential, and they see things, they hear things like that, devotees criticizing each other, and all this sort of, you know, rubbish, or anyway, you know, all that sort of stuff. Then people have told me personally, in the last few weeks, people told me that, you know, what's the point of getting involved with you people? Because you don't like each other. And, you know, am I going to end up like that? And then, so Maharaj was emphasizing that point. I'm sure you remember. And I was thinking of it so much because in this country, well, you all know the history better than me of apartheid, apartness. And did you notice? This is the white seat. It was not intentional.
So they said.
Was it spontaneous? What was it? Or it was just, nothing. Just that it happened. So, yeah. And this country, I was born and raised in New Zealand. And our next door neighbor, we lived in a very good area. I mean, I don't want to get into it too much, but it was really a very good area. Next time you meet a person from Auckland, New Zealand, tell them you know someone who was brought up in St. Heliers and see what sort of reaction you get. Anyway, it's a very good area. Yeah. Very good area. Anyway, I've forgotten what I was going to say. But, okay. Yeah, I remember. Our next door neighbors were Maoris. And they're sort of, kind of, by local standards, the local equivalent of Africans. Something like that, more or less. But they were our next door neighbors in a very good area, very good area. And we were friends, and we would play together. And I went to the local schools, and they were the best schools in the country. King's School and King's College. And there was a number of Maoris there, students. And we were just pals. We never thought I can say I never thought, and it never seemed to me that any of the other schoolboys, it was a boys' school, that they were thinking about these things at all. I literally never heard some sort of comment of, what sort of type it might be. Never heard it. Then I remember it was around 1960 or something. So I was maybe 10 years old, or maybe not quite, but around then. And on the news, the TV, on our TV set, black and white television, then there was something from America, some little, like 30 seconds of how in America some of the African American people sat in the white section of the bus, and it became a bit of a thing. And I was looking at this, and I couldn't figure it out. I'm just young, and I'd never heard of these things. I just never heard of them. And I thought, now what is this? It's the news. But are they joking? Are they trying to be funny? Or what are they doing? So anyway, it was just a different world. Really different world. Then I came here. And anyway, you all know. And in terms of what Maharaj was saying about we got to get on, we got to work together and, develop Prabhupada's movement. Well, I know Giriraj Maharaj on many occasions, he told me, we got to work more amongst the African community. And I know so many of you know what Kadamba Maharaj thought about that. And he really thought about it. So we got to do these things. And we got to do these things together. And without making, snide or just even silly comments about each other or some of us. We got to. Krishna consciousness is such a thing, as Maharaj mentioned, uttama, Tama is ignorance, but Uttama, like Uttama Adhikari, the highest level devotee, the great pure devotee is Uttama, above Tama. That's the specific characteristic mentioned, Uttama. Classically, for the highest class of devotee, that they're Uttama. They're above ignorance. Anyway, that's something. That might sound a little heavy. I want to now say something a little light. Maharaj. Well, let me just mention Bhakti BRIHAT Bhagavat Maharaj. I looked at my watch when he started. It was 11:49. Then I looked when he stopped. It was 11:57. And I thought, listen, didn't they tell you you're meant to talk for half an hour? But, I've known him for many years. I mean, maybe since at least around the day he joined, that's for sure. And he has this very meticulous way of presenting things, very thoughtfully and also very shastrically. And he quoted Bhagavad Gita, what is it, 5:29? Yes. The peace formula. So anyway, but it was only, 8 minutes. And I thought, gee whiz, I was hoping you were going to go till past. I wouldn't have to say anything. But then, referring back to Bhakti Maharaj, he said we shouldn't be fanatics. And he doesn't like fanatics. You remember that? And he indicated, you remember, put his hands up like, oh no, it's a fanatic. I'm just not going to participate. I'm just not here. I am absent. Let him do whatever he likes, but I'm not going to be part of it. So I wanted to mention something related to that. And I know to quite a number of people it's important. That is that up until sometime like maybe 3 or 4 years before COVID, BC, before COVID, as opposed to what? What would you say? AC, after COVID. But I used to have this habit, a very serious habit, of when giving classes in a predominantly Indian audience, like today, I would almost every time, at least very often, I would mention what Parthasarathi Maharaj had told me, how the Indian people in South Africa, they love what he called alu bini. And do you know what alu bini is? Alu is Hindi. It means potatoes. And bini is not Hindi, but it's South African for beans, kidney beans, broad beans, dried beans. So I used to joke about it until, I will not mention his name, but he's the temple president here. And he told me, really in a very serious way, and actually told me on numerous occasions after that, don't make fun of this habit or, the taste of the local Indian people for beans. So, I don't know if any of you noticed, I stopped. But now, you know what I'm going to do? And it's not just about it's just about the South Africans, yes, in general, that I am wondering, when are we going to get out of the habit? It's quite a nice habit, but it's a habit. And I think it's about time to get out of it. Of, you know what? Butter paneer. There's a serious addiction here. And I think beans have been just, set aside. And now it's butter paneer forever. Yes, butter paneer kijai. And I mean, come on. Can't we do something else? So, trying to get them to not be fanatical. Anyway, I hope you don't feel insulted. And I know it's very easy, you just make the paneer and just whack, you cut it up and boil up something and just curry it up, as they say. And there you got butter paneer. There you go. Anyway, I think we should think of something new or different. So, but anyway, these are just such wonderful devotees here. And I've been sitting here since it was, what was it? It was 10:54. It was 10:54. I've been sitting here listening and just thinking how fortunate I am and how fortunate we all are to have the association of these great souls. It's really, it's such a gift from Krishna. It's such a gift from Krishna. There's a conversation between Lord Caitanya and Ramananda Roy. It's in the 8th chapter of Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Lord Chaitanya is asking the questions, Ramananda Roy is answering. And Lord Chaitanya asks, he asks a whole lot of things actually. What is the most this? Who is the most that? He asks, what is the most distressing thing? And Ramananda Roy answers that other than separation from the devotees, I don't know of any distressing thing in this world. So, the next time, I'm sure you won't, but if it ever happens, or if you hear it happen, that some devotee says something negative about another devotee, try and remember that. That's really profound. And I was thinking about it actually in the context of the disappearance of His Holiness Kadambakanana Maharaj, who I knew quite well. Actually, I knew Bhakti Churu Maharaj, I would say, quite a bit better, at least a longer time, and we spent a lot more time together. But when Kadambakanana Maharaj left this world, it moved me much more deeply, or at least noticeably more deeply, than the disappearance of Bhakti Churu Maharaj, who was just, he was such a sweet devotee. Bhakti Churu Maharaj, he had a special nature. Talk about honey-coated, Yes, I would say, organic, raw honey-coated. He was just so sweet. And I remember being in Mayapur for the GBC meetings, and he'd come almost, not every day, but every 2 or 3 days, and tell me, I must come for lunch because we're having pizza. So I had to come. And so anyway, I came because how can you refuse someone like that? Yes, so not every devotee is like that. You get a few grumpy types, and a few sort of half here and half there types. You get all sorts of types in Krishna consciousness. But we have to learn, you could even say the art. You could say the art of appreciating devotees. When devotees come to me, which happens from time to time, and they say that I have trouble getting on with the devotees, appreciating the devotees, or some devotees or devotee. And I often tell them, please memorize the 26 qualities of a devotee. And the next time you see a devotee, and particularly if there's a particular one who gets on your nerves, just try and observe them from that point of view and try and see the good qualities. As Srila Baladev Vijayabhusha says in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 verse 1, where Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that because you are never envious of me, I'm going to now tell you the most confidential knowledge. So in his purport, Baladev Vijayabhusha says, envy means that you look at another person, let's say another devotee, you look at another devotee and you search to find faults, even in the midst of many good qualities. And when you find a fault or two, then you think, aha, now I understand this devotee. But you've deliberately or spontaneously maybe overlooked the good qualities. So let's try and do that. Let's really try to do that. See the good in each other and express appreciation for it. I try to do that a bit. I know Bhakti BRIHAT Bhagavat Maharaj remembers on Friday night he made a point. He was doing questions and answers and about how to deal if you're a devotee but you have Christian family members who are a bit otherwise, as they say, then how to deal with them. And he gave, actually I thought it was such a nice explanation. It was just really good. In his very, I can't imitate it, methodical and not quickly spoken way of expressing himself. It was really good. And so when I was next on, and I don't know if he remembers, but I expressed my appreciation because I really felt it. But I also knew it's a good thing to do, it's the right thing to do. And that's what's going to bring us closer. Appreciating the good, and, unless it's like just totally, chronically dangerous to the point of possibly being fatal, overlooking the shortcomings. Because who doesn't have shortcomings? Yeah. And Prabhupada was expert at that. Time check. Oh, we got to do the questions, right? Because he only spoke for 8 minutes. It's terrible.
We can go into the...
We go there. Okay, let me just tell you one little Prabhupada story. I collect Prabhupada stories. And I thought, gee, what am I going to do? I know, I'll just tell Prabhupada stories. But anyway, then I thought, no, it wouldn't be. It's always suitable, but not maybe under these circumstances. But one little Prabhupada story. along these lines, and it's one I really like. I got it from Satsvarup Maharaj. That one girl, a young woman, joined the temple full-time in Los Angeles. Prabhupada at that point was based there, and the BBT, the book production, was based there. And this girl said, you know what, I'm an artist. Can I paint for Prabhupada's books? And the BBT devotee said, yeah, paint a painting, we'll show it to Prabhupada, let's see what he says. So she painted a painting of Krishna looking very miserable, really, like it was just too tough a day. It was a bad day. Krishna was upset, actually. So they took her in to meet Prabhupada and to show Prabhupada her painting, so she did it. Prabhupada's now holding the painting and looking at it. And Prabhupada is shaking his head, not in the normal sort of Indian way, but in the no way. And Prabhupada said, what is this painting? And the girl said, Srila Prabhupada, it is Krishna feeling separation from Srimati Radharani. And Prabhupada said, no, this is not what Krishna looks like when he's feeling separation. He's in ecstasy. It's the highest ecstasy. You have made Krishna look like some boy who just lost his girlfriend. So no, we cannot use this picture. And he just, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Shri Shri Tagore Sanga Ki Jai. And the cows Ki Jai. And the elephants too, and Srila Prabhupada. So he gave it back, and the girl just took it back and became traumatized. She was sitting there crying, and crying, and crying. And the two BBT devotees who were there, one was a sannyasi, one was a fanatical brahmachari. So they couldn't sort of take hold of her and march her out, or even sort of tap her on the shoulder and say, I think they're just sort of paralyzed. And she was crying and crying. And Prabhupada's watching her. And Prabhupada said, wait a minute, give me that painting again. So she gave him the painting. And Prabhupada now is holding the painting, but now Prabhupada is going like this. No, it's the yes movement. For a minute or whatever, some little short while, he looked at the painting, nodding his head. Then Prabhupada said, we can use this painting. We will call this painting, Krishna Has a Headache. So the girl was just so happy. And apparently, I don't actually know what her name was when she's initiated, but she became a regular artist for Prabhupada's books. So this is Srila Prabhupada, and he's exemplifying this there. And he found the good, even in something, which was, shall we say, questionable, you could say. We need to cultivate this. Because if we're going to be able to move in current day society and work with the people who are not even devotees at all, but somehow work with them in such ways that they feel, hey, these Hare Krishna people are really nice, and then they want to get involved. Well, we're going to have to become broad-minded, we really are. Otherwise, we'll be, not maybe continue to be, or be this little, insular group. Yeah. We're all happy, generally. But we can't really see much outside. So anyway, I appreciated the Friday. In fact, I was walking, I wanted to walk the whole way, but it was so crowded, and all these people, and you know, these mataji's barging into me, and all that sort of stuff was going on. And you know that I took shelter of the chariot. I did my constitutional service. I was throwing sweets at people and spraying them with water. I'm always happy when I do that. Okay, so Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Why is everyone so silent? Let's give him our panel a round of applause. So we haven't quite completed the program yet because we're going to end with the kirtan for the Aarti to be led by our devotees from Vrindavan, Sharad Bihari and Smita Krishna Das, not me.